All right, Jason Rona back here at the Indoor National Series Final. We're here at Beach RC in Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, here with Ron Schuur, Hobbywing, Schuurspeed Motors. Ron, we do a little interview with you, catch up each time. Here, for both of us, it's our first time here at Beach RC. Tell us about your kind of initial impressions and how things are going in the pits, and then what's your impression of this area and being in South Carolina?
Well, it's a first for Beach RC, first for South Carolina, even though I lived in Atlanta for a number of years. But Beach RC, I mean, Brent Densford, the owner of this place, has done a fantastic job. I've met Brent in many places. I've heard a lot about it, but I was impressed when I walked in. The track is nice. It's laid out well. It's built well. Driver stand's nice. Pit area is spacious. The shop in here, I don't know if you've seen around in here, but very well stocked. It's got just about anything you could think of for almost all the cars that I see on the track. So it's just very nice. I called it a bucket list track in my post earlier for Hobbywing, and I would still say that. I mean, it's really impressive.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the things I noticed when I got here is, having the hobby shop in front, the track in back, it gives that impression of, first you can see what, RC kind of has to offer, and then if you want to get on the track, you look through these windows, and then right away you can jump through the doors and get right near the track and get some experience. I mean, one of the things, when we traveled to these different events, I mentioned we did a podcast on the Radio Impound talking about different hobby stores we visited and other areas, and how some hobby stores cater more towards the entry-level market. Some hobby stores that have a track cater to the racer market. But here what I'm seeing is they got a little bit of everything in here.
They certainly do. They got Traxxas, they got a wall of Traxxas parts. They've got, rock crawling, scalers. They got everything here.
Yeah, that's what's kind of neat about this is not only can you come in here and get your hardcore race items. They have everything. When you look down the wall, it's a hardcore shop, and they got all the different springs for the off-road cars, and all the little trinkets, the little aluminum things, and carbon. When they have all that, and then they have the entry-level vehicles on top of it, that means you got everything.
Yeah, that just reinforces Brent's got a good thing going here. And he knows what he's doing. He's doing very well marketing. His online shop is getting larger and larger. I know from the Hobbywing point of view, he has a big customer base because he has his nice orders all the time. So he's doing really good for us.
Well, let's rewind just a touch. We were just at the IOCC, which was out in Las Vegas.
Correct.
Hobbywing, a huge sponsor out there of the on-road and the off-road.
Yes.
Tell us about that event a little bit in general. I know people have been curious, watching online. I think there's a lot of impressive video and photos of that event out there. And tell us from your perspective. You actually raced on the off-road side. I think you did the on-road one too.
Yeah, I did on-road as well. The first event was IIC, and that's the 14th, 15th year for that. I'm not exactly certain, so don't get mad, Scotty, or anybody else. But I did get to run. We had some Hobbywing executives there for the IIC to see what was going on. They were quite impressed with everything going on there. On-road to me was down a little bit, but it was just because we moved the dates, I believe, and. Myself, I didn't get to practice. I didn't get to I missed the first qualifier, and I jumped in the second qualifier with my 12-scale car, and I qualified 7th after my first qualifier and dropped down to BQ, and then I won the B main. So I had a blast out there doing that. It's just relaxing when you get rid of the bosses and have a little fun yourself. But the on-road went real well. It was pretty impressive. But the off-road, the IOCC, this year the entries more than doubled. Mm-hmm. We had a lot of the top drivers come in, and we're seeing more people, new people, that we don't typically see at the standard off-road race. So it was really good being able to see everybody. The stock class, the 21, we ran the 21.5 class that we've talked a little bit about. And once again, the people enjoyed that. And the thing I wanted to point out, the 21.5 guys, the couple of fast ones were only maybe a half second off to 17.5 times, which is pretty impressive for a handout motor. Modified, some amazing racing by Spencer, the Chaplin brothers. Mikhail was over with Schumacher, and that guy in a four-wheel car, phenomenal.
Yeah.
Holy crap, was that thing fast.
Yeah. I mean, an impressive event overall. I mean, we did the Thanksgiving dinner.
Yep.
We did the taco beer night that's provided with your entry. And, I mean, it was really impressive. It's not very often that sometimes racers' wives and families are there. And we had a lot of that.
That was very different this year. There was a lot of families there. And Scotty went overboard with the Thanksgiving dinner. That was phenomenal. I mean, I'm trying to lose weight, and that was a tough one.
It was good, yeah. I mean, we all had a good time there, and just wanted to touch base a little bit about that event. I mean, we're all looking forward to that again next year. I know Scotty's working on dates. I'm sure you'll be working with him on what to do there, and try to incorporate both events again, and maybe hopefully we can be back there at the Westgate.
I believe from the little bit I've talked to Scotty, it will be at the Westgate again. Mm-hmm. The dates, I don't believe they're set in stone by any means. I just look forward to next year. I mean, it's just building and building. You can just feel it.
Yeah.
So I'm looking forward to it. That's our flagship events for the year for Hobbywing. Mm-hmm. I believe we're going to use that as the finale for the off-road carpet racing.
Yeah. I mean,
that's going to be a big thing too.
Yeah, I mean, that's one of the things we were talking about here is, we've traveled, we've done the Indoor National Series now.
Yes.
This is it's going to go into our 9th season. We're going to add, which we're going to call a carpet and turf series. You've been to several of them already this year. We're planning on doing 4 of those, and then perhaps giving our final awards away at the IOCC, depending on date.
Yeah, I think that can be fantastic. I mean, I can't wait to get back to Turf Nationals.
Yeah, we had such
a lot of fun up
yeah.
in what RC Madness was.
Yeah, we did Madness,
and a lot of fun.
Yeah, what's unique about that track is being able to run outdoors and indoors. Yep. And if you're having any moisture problems outdoors, you just jump in and run the carpet track, and you're still
Crazy
driving.
Place. I had a good time.
Yeah, and so that's the thing to look forward to for next year, and I think that's kind of a part of our conversation now is just kind of looking into the new year. We're wrapping up a lot of series champions here this weekend, but those battles are going to kind of go on, live on Facebook here. Thomas is going to bring us that stuff all weekend for the battles, but going into next year, I mean, looking at what we got, between the Indoor National Series, we're going to be starting off again in St. Louis. Mm-hmm. We always go there every year. It's a little cold, but it's hot inside, and the racing's always packed there.
Yeah, hot racing too. Smack Track's a fun place to go to, and I'm already booked in hotel, everything, so we're all good to go, and look forward to that event.
Yeah, one thing that we've already discussed here and talking about this weekend is, we introduced and we did the independent class this year on the Indoor National Series. We're going to have the independent class on the carpet and turf series as well. The other thing we wanted to incorporate, as you already talked about, was the 21.5 motor. We're talking about the possibility of using the 21.5 in the independent class, and just because of that success at IOCC, that lap time difference wasn't there, and the ability that these guys can actually race with a very straightforward motor and a little bit easier to compete.
Yeah, it's I don't know if it's. I guess it is easier, but the guys just come off the stand with smiles and laughs, and that's what this is all about, having some fun. In the 21.5 class, it comes down to who can get the car set up like always, but you got to drive good, and it's not that slow. So
yeah, I mean, I had a lot of people talk to me about that. They were really interested. We did a podcast talking about 21.5 about last week, and guys were, how was that going? What was the 21.5 and what did it look like? And I was like, I'd walk out there and I had to remind myself, like, you know what, we are running 21.5. I forgot about that. And you mentioned that the cars were going well. We're within about a half a second a lap, which is pretty nice. And but still, that drivability might enter the picture. And if it's a little easier to drive for especially the independent guys, I think that's a good thing. Yeah,
and when we come to a race like this for the independent guys, they don't get to a lot of these events, so they're a little nervous. And that just tick less horsepower makes it a lot easier for them to compete and drive. And the competition was phenomenal out there. They were going back and forth, changing the lead, and it was just fun to watch.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of what it's all about here. The way we've got this set up, of course, we promoted this. We got some big showdowns in the modified classes because we got the top names in the business here this weekend. But it's not just for them. We have the independent. We have the expert stock classes. We have the 13.5. We have a good assortment. We got over 40. So there's really, in the future here, and as we're going right now, there's really no excuses. You can run a class all the way down the line. You can be in the series. You can be not in the series. And you can have a good time no matter your skill level.
Yeah, I've said this many times when we're talking, Jason. This is the best series going, in my opinion. I mean, I think it's hard to beat this series. Everybody has a good time, and it's not over-teched. It's not complicated. It's just a fun, good time.
Yeah, I mean, and that's kind of the goal. Yeah. We like to visit these different shops. It gives us a good opportunity to come in here, visit Brent, see how this thing is going. I mean, you see photos, you see video, but that never always tells the complete story.
Correct.
And coming in here and actually seeing it in person, being in Myrtle Beach, having the hotel, like during this time of the year, you can have the closest one to the ocean.
That is pretty interesting.
For $60 or $70 a night, you're like right on top of the ocean, and it's like you're on a honeymoon over there.
Yeah, I don't know about the honeymoon part, but yeah, I guess you could do that too.
Yeah,
it's a nice
I joke
place.
with Thomas. I'm like, this is the best hotel I've ever had, regardless of any trip I've ever been on. And we're at a race hotel, and you just look out and you're like, I'm already on the beach here. This is amazing.
Yeah, it doesn't get any better as far as the location. I wish it was a little warmer, but I'll take it.
Yeah, being December, you're getting a little bit north, and it starts to get chilly. We're about 50 or 60 degrees here, which affects the track. It's a cold track surface, so that means that the racers have to adjust. And then going into, kind of leading us into settings, motor stuff, that's another question. What do we do when it's cold? I mean, we've run these races where it's hot, scalding hot, and now we're a little chilly. How does that affect things?
Well, what we're doing in the stock, I've been helping Max and some of the Hobbywing modified guys, and to get some of the traction, since it was raining a little bit ago outside, it's going to rain more, and bringing the moisture up on the track, so they're getting a little slick. So we're getting into the softening, which I don't think we've ever had the modified guys in softening, and we're putting a little bit of softening in to calm the bottom end down, but we're definitely using it in the stock classes. And so we're doing things to take a little bit of that bottom end away so you don't get the wheel spin. And it's just a little different. And coming from the carpet, we're detuning from the carpet where it's just all out assault to here we're trying to calm it down a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, we obviously had the opportunity to be there together at IOCC, and you go from guys just like they can just every amount of power that they can get, they're on the power. They're talking to you about the speedo settings, how to get more power, and then be drivable power, and then of course the inevitable, you got to use some brakes everywhere. And then my brake power, and then tell us about how we're going to go from one end of the spectrum to the other here, because now you're probably detuning a little bit at times.
Well, like Max Fleur, I mean, we had his yoke motor and really strong. He got a third back at IOCC, and we had boost turned up and played with the RPM range to get that thing to scream down the carpet straight away. And we had his brakes set up fairly aggressive because on carpet you can use it. And here, he goes, help me, Ron, help me, when I walked in. And we had to just tune it down. And instead of all the boost, we've backed that down, put smoothing in. We've taken the brakes and backed down the brake rate to calm it down. And now he's back on pace. So he's a lot more comfortable here, let's put it that way.
So when you get in, and then as far as the temperature and then running in the stock classes, I mean, we hear guys talk about the heat and, their motors and speedos. How does the temperatures inside and outside affect how the guys are tuning the stock stuff?
When I get asked the question, and I'll start this way, is I always get asked, what's the optimal temperature to run at? Well, in my opinion, and I'll tell you why, but cooler is faster. And cooler is faster for the simple reason of what happens to copper when we get heat. The resistance goes up. We're all fighting for low resistance motors to get the RPM up and the speed. So you've got to get the lap times. So I always stress, watch your lap times. Don't worry about the temperature within reason. I mean, you can't go crazy, but if you can run at 100 degrees and be doing competitive lap times, don't worry about heat. And here today with the temperature in the 50s inside over there, we're really not running off the track. On the 17.5 guys are maybe 100. If that, the 13.5 guys, I felt a couple of them. I don't have my temp gauge with me, and I didn't ask them specifically. I think they're maybe 120, 125. So it's not really too hot. It's how to get the power down. I think if we had a little more traction, if it was warmer, I think we'd be a lot warmer.
So, one of the other classes we have here is the 13.5 truck class. We have a 13.5 short course, and I was just watching those guys do the seating run, and it really is a nice speed for the truck class. I mean, they're doing all the jumps.
Yes.
No real issues doing any of the jumps. Plus, the trucks look pretty drivable on this track, and it seems like that's been a good thing. We got a pretty good turnout there in the 13.5, and it looks like a nice battle shaping up in that class with just the drivers being on the similar skill level.
Yeah, and since you introduced the 13.5 class here, we're seeing a lot of the local tracks pick up the trucks at 13.5. I would have to totally agree. It's much more fun watching them run, being able to jump the tracks and not just stressing everything out, overheating the motor, trying to. So the 13.5 is, I think, helped resurrect the stadium truck and short course somewhat. It doesn't hurt that Yokomo's got a new one, but I mean, we're starting to see those classes come back, and I think that's a good thing.
Yeah, I mean, obviously it gives the guys that like to run in sort of those lower power classes, it gives them that truck and short course to go along with the buggies or four wheels now.
Yeah.
And, I think we're seeing the 17.5 guy in two wheel. He likes that 13.5 four wheel. I mean, he loves the 13.5 four wheel.
Well, that's a huge class everywhere we've been.
Yeah. I mean, we look here today, we got 4 or 5 heats of it, and it just, that looks like it really matches that car very well, and we're hoping for that in the trucks as well.
Yeah, I think we're getting there. I notice it most in practice because I'm always intently watching the guys in practice. And now the short courses and the stadiums aren't in the way.
Yeah.
I mean, you used to run them over because they were going kind of slow, and now the guys are on pace, and it's much easier for them to move over a little bit and let the faster vehicles through.
So going into next season a little bit, I know we're not really all the way there yet. Anything that you can see coming up for Hobbywing, Schuurspeed that we should keep an eye out for? We got between products, we got driver stuff coming up. Obviously, anything that you can tell us, we'd like to listen.
You would?
Of course.
No, it's crazy time of the year. I mean, we've got our Hobbywing has the team application that's now open through the 16th. So we have another week approximately. We're taking applications and watching the email fill up. We have more than we've ever had before. I've had contact with a number of the top drivers, which is encouraging. It makes us at Hobbywing feel good because that's not happened always before. So now that we're getting some of the top guys, I think that is an indication that we're doing something right and that the guys like. So I'm very encouraged to see that. Does that mean we're going to pick up a whole bunch of top drivers? I mean, I can't say that. It's going to change how many drivers we have because it's just in the economy today and everything. We got to kind of be a little careful. But I think we'll have a couple surprises that even surprised me initially.
Yeah.
But I think we just have an overall better, refined team. We're doing more. I'm going to take some more steps personally to work closer with my top team guys and try and do more. We're going to have a new website soon at Hobbywing, which is a big thing for us. And there'll be more information that I can share and places to share information with the team. We want to get everybody always wants the magic setups.
Yeah.
And so we're going to have a place to put those and save them instead of just emailing them around and
getting buried.
Kind of informal or throwing them on Facebook, and it's just going to be a little more organized. So we're doing something like that to make it better.
Okay.
And as far as next year, I mean, we're going to partner up with yourself again and support the two programs you have going on. We're going to do an oval race together in end of May. I'm really looking forward to that.
Yep.
That'll be fun. So Schuurspeed, I've got some things we're trying out. I hope to start. I hope to be home long enough to do a little testing here in the next couple of weeks with some stuff I want to. I won't say it's going to be a new version, but like I've done with the V3 in the past, just clean it up a little bit and introduce a little different, maybe a version 4 point or -1 or something you might want to call it. But I'll have to get that into ROAR, get it approved and out, and we'll let everybody know for sure when that happens.
Good. Well, Ron, thanks for joining us again here. Yeah. Thanks for the support. Thanks for coming out here to Beach RC. We'll see you soon, and good luck this weekend. And keep supporting, JConcepts here on Facebook, Instagram. Same with Hobbywing and Schuurspeed. Yep. Keep an eye out. These guys are updating things all the time. And thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.
Thanks for having us, and we'll see you soon.
Yep.